not live yet. And now I think we're live. Hi, please write something in the chat so we can understand that you can hear us and see us. Hi.
Hi. Hello, thanks a lot.
While we're still waiting for some people to come, thank all of you for joining us today. Welcome. Hi there. Hi.
Bonjour.
Guys, if you will have some struggles with the internet due to obvious reasons, please just reload the page and everything should work properly, just in case. Hi. If it's not hard for you, please write something in the chat according, like, are you the product owner or the ASO manager, so we can understand the audience a little bit better.
And maybe if you are from gaming or non-gaming business, that would be also helpful. We have examples from both, but we can skew it more towards one of these major categories.
Hi, Ramon. Nice to meet you. Okay, so let us start. So on this webinar session, we will focus on the key drivers of ASO strategy for your business. Just a second. And guys, if you have some problems with this sharing with the screen options, also please let us know, just in case. So hope this session will be useful for you. Nowadays, we have a lot of content focusing on the best ASO tactics and best ASO cases. For example, how proper A/B tests leads to the conversion rate increase, or how textual metadata updates influenced on the organic search installs. Also, lots of experts talk about the best ASO tactics they use. For example, how to get featured, how to use Apple search ads and combine this ads campaign with ASO, or how better localize the content and the graphic assets, for example, for different markets. But only a few articles are talking about the ASO strategy. So how to approach ASO in general, what makes the most sense for a specific app or a game on a specific market, on a specific stage of the business. So today, AppAgent and AppFollow will share their stories and show the beautiful examples of factors that are influencing on the ASO strategy overall. So today with me as a co-host, we have Peter. Peter, please, mic is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Peter, founder and CEO of AppAgent. We are an integrated mobile marketing agency, and we help clients to grow their user-based revenues. We are working, for example, for Blue Mobile, Babel, TV.com, and many other businesses in the area of data analytics, creative services, and user acquisition. And today, I will bring you a lot of examples from our own kitchen here at AppAgent, and I believe it will help you to define the right strategy for your specific app or game.
Peter, you're almost 10 years in this year. How do you think, what are the main differences in ASO sphere, for example, now and 5 years ago?
Well, 5 years ago, that was, it counts 2015. Well, I think that 5 years ago, it was quite straightforward, I would say. So if you were an indie, you can buy a source code, you can do a reskin, work on keyboards, you launch the app, and with a bit of luck, you will see some revenues coming from these downloads. Today, there's many more companies doing ASO very well, and also the algorithms are more complex. As we will speak today, conversion rate optimization, keywords, and other in-app factors are influencing everything together. So you need to work a lot with data, and we also have many more tools and data available. So I would say it's more complex, more demanding, but also more fun. But enough of me. How about you, Anna? Tell us who you are and what you do.
So hi everyone again. My name is Anna, and I am head of ASO consulting department at AppFollow. We are helping our clients to grow, also in terms of the ASO and some other factors as managing the ASO campaigns, for example, etc. Also spent a couple years in Asia, so that's why actually there my career in mobile market has started. So have quite nice expertise in the Asian markets, and yes. Okay, so today we are gonna talk about like what are the main things that's influencing on your ASO strategy. So how differs for each and every company can this strategy looks like. Some words about our today's agenda. First of all, we were focusing on the positioning and competition points. Then we will speak about the power of the brand and the difference between those traffic sources we have now. And at the end of our presentation, we will speak about the user acquisition campaigns and how ad creatives may influence on the ASO strategy. Guys, please feel free to contribute in our discussion and ask all the questions in the chat. We will definitely cover them during our speeches or after our presentation. So please feel free to ask everything and make our discussion more fruitful.
Cool. So I will take the first part about positioning and competition, and we'll use sort of examples today. So I will start with an example as well. So you either are an unknown startup, or on the other side of the spectrum, you are an established business. And the starting position highly defines what should be your priorities, what should be your ASO strategy. So let's speak about Budget Bakers, one of our clients that's operating in the fintech area. And they are still really small, 20 people having 2 products now. And these businesses usually don't see a lot of organic traffic. They don't have such a strong brand. And therefore, they also have limited possibilities when it comes to A/B testing in the store. So for Budget Bakers, it makes sense, for example, to start with a paid UA to get enough traffic to the store, to A/B test the store listing, and optimize this part using some cash, rather than just relying on few installs a day. On the other side, if you look, for example, at Joom, which is an e-commerce company of a very large size operating, in many markets, they have strong brand. They are doing a lot of other activities outside of ASO, such as influence marketing, paid campaigns. And for them, it's absolutely critical to focus on conversion rate optimization, because all the traffic comes to the store page, and there the decision about the install happens. And also, this business can actually target the best keywords in their niche, in their category. So they can go after, let's say, shopping, online shopping, and be aim for being in top 3 for these keywords. Where Budget Bakers, on the other side, they can't go for the top keywords in their niche from the get-go. They wouldn't be able to rank on the top keywords from the day one. So they rather should focus on long-tail keywords first and gradually build the momentum, the down velocity, getting more installs and reviews before they can use the same strategy as an established business such as Joom and go after the most relevant and high volume keywords. So this is super important to assess on the beginning. Are you a startup, are you an established business, or somewhere in between? And what are your chances to actually get the positive ROI of your ASO efforts? And we will dive into this deeper on the next slides, how to actually assess this.
Yeah, true. Actually, totally agree with you. And one more comment, continue the topic that new apps aren't maybe even searched in the stores. One of the most frequent questions from our clients from the new applications is something like, I want to be ranked in top 5 at least by all these popular search requests and competitor brands keywords. And this question illustrates how important it is to focus on right things taking into account your stage of business.
Thanks, Anna. I'm reading that there are some issues with the sound, so maybe I will ask Andre and Philip if they hear me now a little bit better. If not, I can connect my remote microphone. So could you guys confirm me the sound improved? Mark is typing.
Probably, yes.
Okay, fine for him. All right, if there are any issues, just ping me. I can grab the external mic and connect it if it will help. Perfect. Okay. So we'll continue and okay, some echoes, strange. Anyway, I'll continue and let's see how this goes. So after you understand your starting position, you should look on the intent of the user. And the intent could be either strong, which is, for example, a case of Stigic Truck, which is a navigation app for truck drivers. And these are professionals looking to fulfill very specific need. So there's a high intent. These people will immediately go to the store because they need an app. They are sure about it. And therefore, Stigic will see most of the traffic coming from search. And they should focus on keyword optimization rather than conversion rate optimization, on long-tail keywords which are capturing this need. And because it's for professionals, they can really focus on communicating features rather than doing some marketing magic to persuade undecided user to install the app. If you are in the gaming space, you probably see most of the traffic coming from Explorer. Not that many people search for, let's say, match-free game. They go to the App Store or Play Store, they just browse, look for something that catches their attention, and the intent is rather low. Therefore, the conversion rate optimization is absolutely critical because people are still undecided. They just look for something to kill the time, for example. And therefore, for you, should be the primary focus on grabbing the attention, being sexy, and just making them excited through icon, screenshots, or attribute video, whatever else can make people excited. And also, gaming sees a lot of traffic from paid channels. And therefore, the synchronization, which I will cover in the last part, is super important. And therefore, we'll speak about it more in detail in the last third of the webinar. The other side of the same coin, the intent, is the size of the appeal. You either have a niche appeal or mass appeal. And the appeal means what's your addressable market? You know, how big is the audience for your app? Here we have Poker Stack. It's basically an app where you track your profits from playing poker. So there will be very likely low traffic for this app, but super high conversion because it's like matching specific needs of a very specific audience. But on the other hand, very limited number of keywords you can target and very expensive ones if you want to use Apple search ads or any other paid channel. Because poker and gambling and casino, these are usually like super expensive and super competitive keywords. So if I'm in charge of marketing strategy for Poker Stack, I will probably go also outside of the stores and maybe try search engine optimization on desktop, produce some content, and also look into the product, how to make it more viral, because poker players meet in person, they share their stories, and also they are probably willing to share some tools, how to be more successful. So in this case, I will focus rather on this than other parts of ASO. For mass appeal, and here we are speaking, for example, about Babel, the language learning app from Berlin, that's addressing basically anyone who can learn, who wants to learn some new language. These guys are going after the top search terms, such as learn languages or learn Spanish. And there are dozens of other apps, let's say top 10 are super major businesses doing ASO fairly well. But Babel has such a strong brand, such a strong at metrics, retention, and conversions, that they can go really after the very top keywords, which I already mentioned, but also the velocity or number of ratings, the average rating are.
Peter? Guys, sorry for this thing. Probably Peter has some troubles with the connection, but I'm sure that he will join us as soon as he reload the page. So just Peter, you just was out for some seconds.
Yeah, that I got disconnected. Not sure why, but sorry for issues. Let's continue. So to Babel, when we work with them, we recommend to focus on conversion rate optimization and specifically on their positioning. Because if you search for learn Spanish, you will see dozens of apps that might be a good fit. And you need to persuade the user that your app is the right one. And for Babel, the keyword is conversation. That's how you learn. So that's why we emphasize both the strong brand in the banner and icon, but also the tagline, learn a language through conversation, in the very first screenshot. So the appeal highly defines what are your challenges and what are also the opportunities. Another thing, when you are starting, when you are defining your ASO strategy, is where you will do these optimizations. Most of the companies start in the US, by far the biggest market, also very well monetizing. But the fact is, everyone is doing ASO in the US, and not everyone is doing it outside of this big market. So in the long term, with AppAgent, see that if you want to grow to ASO, you should expand the number of markets. And how to do that? We usually look at the size of the addressable market, also the number of people who are actually willing to search for the app, which we discussed a few slides ago, is super important. Then what's the real revenue we see in the app coming from these territories? So Germany will obviously have higher average revenue per user, ARPU, compared, for example, to Brazil. But very likely, there will be many companies doing German optimizations compared to Brazilian market. So then it's up to you to combine these metrics together to decide where to expand. But really, in the long term, this is the best way how to get most of the organic traffic. And now 2 examples, one from my side, one from Anna. Now I will speak about the second app which Budget Bakers released last year called Board. It's an app for entrepreneurs who are seeking some financial monitoring dashboarding tool to understand the profits and costs of their business. So it's quite niche, but the intent of the audience searching for such a solution is very high. Usually see that you are able to keep everything in Excel. And therefore, we are also competing with other similar apps such as QuickBooks or FreshBooks that are going after the same audience. And for Board, I would recommend to set the following strategy. First, I will use Apple Search Ads to collect the data on conversion per keyword, because there are many overlaps with B2C financial apps, with apps that are also offering invoicing, etc. And I really have to find first what are the right keywords driving the right traffic, people who are actually willing to subscribe and spend in my app, rather than going broad and target dozens of keywords, which in most cases doesn't make sense. And because there are similar apps, I will focus on positioning and also explaining for whom the app actually is. So that's why in the first screenshot, we are clearly saying, this is a financial dashboard for small businesses. If you are a big or medium business, it's not for you. If you are looking for something else, then dashboard, not for you. And in the second screenshot, it's not visible here, we are communicating the unique selling proposition that this app can connect to your bank, and you will see all the data from the bank in real time in your app, so you don't have to log into your bank or multiple bank accounts, it will be automatically imported in the app. So that's how we can like compete with the others by clearly communicating what's the most important thing about this app. And also because it's B2B, people like me will probably search for this app on the MacBook, on the desktop. So also creating some landing page and capturing web traffic might be a good idea, which is a bit sideways from ASO, but I think it's important, especially for B2B businesses. Anna, over to you.
Thanks, Peter, for such a nice example. And guys, as Peter just mentioned, there are a lot of difference between strategies for startups companies and for established business. And here I have a very interesting examples, I think, of the situation where both startups and established business may have similar tactics to grow in the market and to compete. So here we have one application. This is photo frame applications. And the interesting here is that the audience of such sphere is very diverse. So the gender, the age, the life position of the users may be really different. So like it's mass appeal product with a high audience intent. And the interesting thing here is also that there are some branded applications in this photo editing sphere, for example, the PixArt or the Lightroom applications, but the direct competitors of these applications use the generic names and the generic keywords as an app name. So as we can see on the example here, it's love polish and photo frames. It's just like simple words which combine its app name. So speaking about the tactic for such kind of applications, of course, it is first of all focus on keyword optimization. As soon as there are plenty of relevant generic search requests that create space for this competition via keyword optimization. Also, launching the ASO campaigns will definitely a must here because they probably will not be that expensive if we compare like such a big brand's ASO campaigns. And also, as soon as there is no branding line, in this case, as I mentioned, using catchy graphic assets as a screenshots and icons is very important here. And also localize and adapt the content for different markets where you want to grow. And interesting here is that this what I mean by localization and adaptation of the graphic concept. So here we can see 3 examples of one application, different screenshots in different markets. So on the right part of the screenshot, you can see the Japanese market screens. On the left one, you will see the French and the Spanish ones. So this is a perfect example, as I think, how deep guys made this adaptation of the content. And this is definitely works for this kind of markets.
Yeah, it really follows what you mentioned about localizations. This is the best way how to do it. It's not always easy because you need to understand the market. In this case, also the visual culture and visual language. But we've also seen tremendous results when we were invested and made this extra mile to actually be relevant for the audience, especially in the Asian markets.
Yeah, true.
So that's a wrap for the initial section about positioning and competition. And if you guys want, we can now answer a couple of your questions specifically to this part. Then at the end, there will be, of course, Q&A. But if you have any questions to what we just discussed, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll address them immediately.
There was one question related to this section from Ramon. The best way to search the competitors' keywords and create strong text for the game app in Google Play and App Store. Peter, what do you think? What is the best tactic to find the competitors' keywords?
Well, I would definitely look into the tools where I can monitor how companies or apps are updating, how their rankings are evolving over time. And it's not always about like going directly after your competitors, so to say, because very often, as I see from my experience, this could be like the head-to-head fight. And especially if you are not like super strong, if you don't have all the components, then maybe it's a good strategy to think, Where else can I gain some points? Should I go after another type of keyword? Should I go into other market? So to me, competitors are just a general guidance, maybe to frame the space in which I operate. And if I'm super strong, such as, for example, Babel, I'm going head-to-head with Duolingo, for example. But if I'm budget breakers, I would definitely not go after competitor keywords and try to figure out my own approach, my own niche.
Mm-hmm. Ramon, hope we answered your question. Now it's time to move forward. We still will have time after our presentation, so feel free to ask more questions. But now it's time to speak about the power of the brands and different traffic sources. So the thing I would like to start here is like speaking about the well-known brands. They definitely have a big advantage over the no-name startups in terms of recognizability. So these kinds of apps are not only easily find the reflection in people's mind, but also easy to understand what application is about. So for example, everyone knows the Priceline or Skyscanner application, so you definitely will take a look at the screenshot and easily identify where they are. Also, well-known brands have a history, and this means a lot. So these kinds of applications already have a certain audience, like loyal audience, and clients' trust. Speaking about the new business, the situation may differ. So how can this kind of application grow on the markets, and which marketing strategy they should use? Should they just copy paste the big whales marketing strategy and implement it to them, or to create something new? So to answer this question, we need to identify the differences between different traffic sources that we have now, so to understand on which traffic source to focus on first. And here we go.
Yeah, so this is the framework which we developed at AppAgent to help clients to visualize the traffic distribution. If you see just numbers in the App Store Connect or Google Play console, doesn't give you such a good picture as here in the schema, where the size of the box visualizes how your app is getting downloads. So just what we can get out of this. If you look at iOS, the dominant traffic source, actually 60% of the traffic comes from search. And if I'm ASO manager, I will look here whether this is coming from brand terms or long-tail keywords. If it's brand, then probably I should communicate the brand a lot also in my store assets, for example. And if it's long-tail keywords, I can actually figure out if I can even go more if there's still space, or maybe if this is maxed out, which in some cases could be, then maybe we can focus on other areas such as the icon optimization to increase the explore traffic. On Android, dominant is Google Ads. So in this specific case, I will look what are the main creatives, the best performing creatives, what are the placements, and I will adjust my store listing to match the top performing creatives to create a consistent user experience. So this is a great way how to understand the traffic sources and make some decisions based on this.
Nice. So I saw in the chat the question from Rima about what are the best practices to improve installs from search. So now we will cover this with our presentation. So sometimes keyword optimization and contribution in the search channel is a huge part of the strategy. Speaking about where and when it should be covered. First of all, of course, if you see that search traffic is your main traffic source. Of course, if the audience intent is high, search is definitely think you need to invest some resources. And also one thing, one tactic to check to understand whether you have a potential in terms of search optimization is to check other competitors' search visibility score. And if you have the lower score, it usually means that you have plenty points for growth in this sphere. And speaking about how you can contribute in this search traffic. So first of all, first thing I need to mention here is that now almost all spheres have a big brands as a leader. So for example, if we take the email sphere, we have Gmail, Spark, etc., etc. So lots of brands already have these pieces of audience, and competition is very tough. But still, there are plenty of generic keywords different applications or new business can use, like send emails or a free mail applications, etc., etc. Using less popular and long-tail keywords can be a good tactic to grow, and also expanding on the new markets. As Peter mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, there are some markets that are not covered now by all these kinds of apps. So probably localizing and adaptation of your content, of your product, will be a nice tactic to grow, also contribute in the search traffic channel. Speaking further, another huge part of organic traffic is browse. And the thing when you should invest in this type of traffic, first of all, is where the search, where audience search intent is low. Of course, Google, for example, Google Play offers some benchmarks, and here also comes the comparison thing. If you see that your conversion rate benchmark is lower than the average one, probably you should to invest in this sphere a little bit more. And also, if you have lots of ad campaigns and some branded or offline campaigns, also working with browse traffic may have a good impact on the overall situation and be a part of the marketing strategy. So speaking about how you can contribute in this type of traffic, first of all, of course, we're speaking about the conversion rate optimization. So working with the graphic assets, with icons and screenshots, constant A/B testing, this is definitely the first approach in these terms. Also, getting featured. This is a nice surprise for all applications. Actually, not all the time featuring brings you relevant traffic, but sometimes it definitely leads to the huge boost in organic downloads. Also contributing in right categories and tags, if we're speaking about Google Play, makes real sense, because now these kinds of actions become more important, and because they influence on the similar apps lists and of course on the chart rankings. So these are main factors how you can contribute in browse traffic. Like continuing the brand topic that we started before, there is different strategies for big brands and for the small business, but still the one common thing they have is that all apps is for all apps it is always a challenge to keep the users' loyalty and like working on the client's trust and brand awareness. And definitely it should be a part of marketing strategy for both kinds of applications. So here I have an example how big brands use this client's trust marks in their graphic optimization. Here we have three application, Calm, Breathe, etc. So they have this editor choice or like a word signs on the screenshots. So this is a very nice example how you can show users that acknowledgement of your brand is real, and so like to gain more loyal audience and attract them to your application. And I think Peter has an example of how it can also contribute when your brand is not that big.
Yeah, sure. So here's the case of Kiwi.com, which is established pretty much in the Europe. But when it comes to US, they can't compete with Kayak or Skyscanner. They are honestly a no-name brand there. And our hypothesis was that this will create a friction because people are believing a lot in brands, especially in the US. So then we came to this experiment. How about if we use testimonials from well-known outlets such as New York Times or Business Insider and put them in the first screenshot, just to give some like credibility to Kiwi.com. And actually, this increased the conversion rate, this single experiment, by 13%. So it was a huge success, which we then refreshed by using Trustpilot score, which is a rating by travelers, and Kiwi is one of the best rated travel operators on this portal. And again, it proved to be a very functional strategy to actually enhance the trust and build the connection with the audience in the very first screenshot. So we are at the end of the section, and there are a couple of interesting questions which I would love to answer now. First, Milana was asking how to research which market is not attacked by competition. So it's quite easy. If you use, for example, AppFollow or any other tool, you can track how other companies are changing their store assets, for example. And if you see that screenshot or icons or short description changes a lot, it's localized, and it's not just like translated by Google Translate, then very likely your competition is active there. And you can also check how many top keywords they're occupying in top charts. So this is quite easy way how to figure out whether the competition is active on the market. And Marek was asking how we deal with conversion rate optimization, probably analysis for browse and search traffic. It differs a lot, Marek, because imagine that you are featured, that's browse traffic, and that generates a lot of irrelevant traffic. Just people who spotted the banner or the icon, they just click it, they go to the store page, and then they just leave. So I've experienced that a lot of time in the past. One of my very first clients at AppAgent was a fintech company called TradeWise. It was for traders. And we got featured in some finance apps collection on the homepage. And we got tremendous traffic. But honestly, like 3% was converting into the install because 97 was not relevant. And when we are doing some analysis for our clients, this like traffic breakdown, we always look at the breakdown by traffic source to understand if this is consistent or different. And I will tell you one example, which we just were looking at this week. There is one app which has a very high conversion from paid channels, like around 43–45%, or very high, pretty high, if put it this way. But from search, it was super low. And my take out of this was that if you pre-qualify users in ads, then they are converting well in the store, but the store itself for the search traffic isn't convincing enough. The app wasn't explained well, and therefore we suggested to change screenshots first before working on other marketing activities, because clearly the people who saw the app for the very first time from search traffic were not converting.
So yes, continuing the answer for this question, the tactics may be the same, but you definitely need to analyze all these traffic sources separately, because all this action may lead to different results, as Peter said. Okay, I think we covered almost all questions by now. Let us move further.
So I'll speak now about user acquisition, which I just touched. And there are basically two ways how ASO and paid UA could be approached. If you are an established business, you are probably starting from ads and then going to the store. And I will tell you what I mean by this in a second. Or the other way around, that your store experiments influence the paid UA the other direction. I will speak about the first option, where Anna will take the second one. So the key thing here is to think about your store page as one step of the funnel. And that means that if people are already addressed previously by some ad, by banner, video ad, they already know a bit about your product, and then they come to the store with already some expectations, some idea, some hopes, and you need to connect these together. Of course, it differs very much what's the traffic source. If you look at paid search, then of course people are pre-qualified a lot. They are coming from specific search terms, and you just need to match the search term with what you tell about the product to this type of audience. But if people are coming from social channels, such as Facebook or Snapchat, the exposure of the app was in a few seconds, 3, 6, maximum 15 seconds. So using this old AIDA model, attention, interest, decision, action, social channel worked well for attention and interest. We grabbed the attention, we created the interest, then the click happened, and people went to the store where the decision and action needs to happen. So you need to basically explain the product pretty well, because they just know it's exciting, but not much about it. And if you look at video ad networks, where the ads are usually 15 to 30 seconds, some even with a forced view, then basically people know quite a lot about the product already. And you need to evolve the story in your store listing. You don't have to speak about details, because it was already like set initially in the ad. You just need to continue the storytelling and persuade them to make their finest. Of course, you are usually using more channels, but you should do this traffic analysis first, understand if you have some dominant channel, and if yes, then to adjust your strategy accordingly. And here I have example from Small Giant Games, our client where we design mobile ads. And it's about connecting things together. In the video ad on the left, you can see a bit blurred a dragon, which is also in the gameplay sequence of the ad, and also in other part of the ad. And this is one of the most successful ads for impulse and puzzles for this game, which stands for quite a lot of traffic coming to the store page. So then in the store page, Small Giant Games created the icon with the dragon, and the dragon is also in the second screenshot. And once you install the game, part of the onboarding is the dragon again. So you can see how this is greatly connected together. There's always some element which connects things together. And this is a gaming case. And in the case of apps, we have a client based in Helsinki as well, the same as for Small Giant Games, called Pocket Hunt. And this is a recruiting platform. And the ad on the left, which we created, shows some parts of the UI, this like swiping mechanic, and also the claim, which matches the claim in the very first screenshot. So no matter if you have app or game, you should look at the consistent communication to really make the whole funnel work well for you. Another part which we mentioned a bit previously is that you will have to connect Apple search ads with your attribution provider, such as AppFollow or AppAgent, because only then you can understand the lifetime value per keyword. And this is not only important for which keywords you will bid on Apple search ads. This basically tells you which keyword you should target in your organic optimization strategy. So this is an essential part of your strategy planning, and I'm surprised how many big publishers don't have it set up yet. Because once you do that, you can analyze keyword by keyword, and in this fake example, you can see that weight loss keyword is generating over 2,000 euros, which means that this is the best keyword you can use in the icon, maybe the screenshot or the video. This is basically what makes people convert the best. Now, Anna?
So thanks, Peter, for these wonderful cases, how important it is to adapt your store listing and make learnings from these ad campaigns and also from the ASO. It's definitely very important. And I want to show you the case to illustrate how it can work vice versa. So the conversion rate optimization is a constant process. The benchmarks, which are provided by Google Play, for example, can show you the relative place of your product compared to the market, but never tell you whether your current conversion rate is on peak. So what is important to make this process ongoing? And here we have a case of one of our clients, how the conversion rate impacts, like improvements, impacts on all types of traffic. So this is case of Hello Games. The game name is Westland Survivor. What we have done, a series of successful A/B tests on icons and screenshots in the key markets. So they we increased the conversion rate on these markets up to 4 and 12%, dividing by the markets, and it leads to, of course, organic installs growth. But also, the guys had some ad campaigns launched previously, and we lowered the CPI price also by different amounts. So the conversion rate optimization and work in this with these aspects not only increased the organic installs, but also helped guys to lower this ad campaign's CPI. And speaking about the organic uplift, it definitely increased after all these sections. One more example how it can work. A/B testing in Google Play, for example, is a free tool to justify some hypotheses for ad campaigns. So just like here is an example of AliExpress. They are not our clients, but relevant to show here. For example, you have some loyal audience and you want to launch some new ad campaigns, and you want to understand which discount amount will convert the most. So first thing you can do is to launch a free A/B test in Google Play with this applying these different discounts on the first screenshot. So you will collect this important data before spending some budgets on the ad campaigns. After this A/B test will finish, you will have this data, and you can launch this ad campaign based on that data. So you will save some money and also increase the conversion rate and increase the all this CPA things inside your campaign. So this is definitely a way how to lower this budget. Yeah, and like summing up this section, is very important to keep your store listing and all other activities in one frame and make learnings from all these spheres and actions.
So because we are almost at the end, I'll just answer one question from the list here by Ismail, who's asking how to assess the caliber of an ASO expert from Fiverr, for example, hiring for the ASO, for example. And this is a great question, which we tried to crack in the last Tuesday at AppAgent when we were designing the hiring process. And actually, a lot of the things which we are discussing today are part of our test. So we ask people how they will approach ASO for eBay compared to some small app. And we ask them to explain their thought process, the strategy. We ask them how they will design screenshots for some app providing them all the data. And we again look if they are able to work with the data and reflect that into the store listing. So I would say that the largest part of our hiring process are these tests, where we are not looking at the final output, rather than how the person approaches the task, how is the logic behind. And for us, this is more important than the actual specific skill, how to define keywords, because it's something that you can learn fairly quickly. You need the mindset, how to work and apply the data, the situation on the market in your specific case.
And also in the chat was one more question regarding the ASO activities and how they influence on the keyword rankings. So based on our cases, we definitely see this correlation. So when you launch some ASO campaigns in different markets, you will not only gain some installs from these campaigns, but also there is a keyword rankings boost by all these keywords that you are promoting. So yes, there is a correlation, and it definitely helps to grow in terms of ASO as well.
Especially if these keywords are converting well, because that gives a signal back to the algo that there's a relevancy, and of course they are pushing you up for this keyword in the ranking results.
True.
So because we are short on time, I will just quickly collect through the key takeaways. You can read it yourself at the end. My key message here is don't jump straight to keyword optimization or designing screenshots. Take a step back, think about your starting position, about your users, how much they know about your app or game, how is the strength of your brand, what are the real chances to rank for keywords in top 5, and whether it makes sense to invest efforts into keywords or conversion rate, and in which market. Think about the whole funnel, and only then decide which way to go. And also revise this quite frequently, because the landscape changes, your traffic might change, your ad creatives on Facebook will definitely change over time, and you need to reflect this in your activities. So I hope this gave you some framework how to think about ASO strategy if you are the small business or big one, and happy to answer your questions now.
There are some questions we are not covered. So for first question I mentioned here is Rima is asking what is search usability score. Actually, this is AppFollow internal metric. So we create this score on our site. If you are not a client of us, you can definitely find this information on our website. This is score which illustrates your position in terms of the search. So we're taking into account the amount of keywords your app is ranked by, divided by the different positions you have, and of course, taking into account the popularity of this keyword. So this is the score we calculated on our site. And Peter, there were some questions about this A/B testing and ASO. Probably want to.
I'm just reading Mark's question here. So Mark is asking what we think about A/B testing created with the search ads, creative sites, and implementing the results of the test to the listing. Yeah, it's one thing which we do for the clients, but to be honest, we mostly do sequential testing on the App Store, or if the client wants data about the behavior of users, then also these third-party tools might help you to understand this. I wouldn't rely much on them, to be honest. I think it's mostly about understanding how people actually behave on the store, how they interact, and taking these behavior data into your creative strategy is better than just taking the results for granted, because it's a fake store and there are many downsides, such as the load speed of the video, for example, which is almost instant in the phone, but might be slow in the fake store page in the browser. So it's command to test multiple approaches.
And there is one more question from Mark as well regarding the tags and using tags in Google Play strategy. So yes, it's definitely the thing that is working now, because we experimented with both games and apps in terms of this question. And especially for the games, we see a huge boost if you pick up the correct tag. The best tactic here is not to use 5 tags at the same time, but implement them one by one. So you implemented one tag, for example, the genre one, or some the most relevant for your application, and then you see how browse traffic is affecting by these changes. And then one by one, step by step, you're implementing all the tags and experiment with thing, because this definitely works. And also this thing affects on the similar apps list you can see on the product page card. So this is definitely the thing that you should take into account now. Guys, there were questions regarding this recording of this webinar. We will send the link. Our organizer said that it will be available on Tuesday, so next week. You will definitely receive this video recording.
Well, so thanks everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure. And if you have any more questions, you can reach out either to emails on our website or me on LinkedIn. We have also Twitter accounts. So if you have any more questions, let's say tomorrow or next week, feel free to ping us.
Same here. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining us today and for this fruitful conversation. It was a pleasure to be a co-host with you.
Thanks for having me, Anna. Likewise, and have a good day.
You too. Guys, thank you for joining. See you. And I think we just need to